Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, something really powerful is happening on the campus of Texas State University. We're going to learn all about the CIEDAR Consortium and Star Park next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I remember growing up watching the Jetsons, and everything looked so futuristic at the time. But I think if you went back through the entire series and started looking at each one of those crazy devices, half of them are in our lives right now. Who imagined that we'd have a cell phone that was also a camera and was also a video camera and was also the web? And I mean, it's an exciting time to be alive. And the very smart people at Texas State University know that. And joining me right now, Mick Hawton, he's an ambassador for the CIEDAR Consortium. He's joining us from our Austin bureau. Thanks for coming on the show today, Mick.
Thank you, Jeff. It's really great to be here. This is an exciting topic, and it's certainly a personal passion of mine, so thank you so much for having me.
Well, why don't you explain what we're talking about? You before the show, you said life-size sandbox, and that really stood out to me. What do you mean by that?
Right, so I'm going to say the name first because it's long, but it's important to share. It's the Connected Infrastructure for Education, Demonstration, and Applied Research Consortium. That's CIEDAR. That's Texas State, and Star Park is the first iteration of their living lab, and that's what that life-size sandbox is. So if I have the opportunity to create a product or service, and it involves transportation, infrastructure, utilities, even streetlights, things of that nature, I can envision that. I can create it in a computer, in a digital environment, and I can test it in certain ways. But for that to really be functional and to be tested so we know that it works, that it fulfills the purpose of what it's being created for, you have to have a place where you can test it in a life-size format. And so what Texas State and CIEDAR have done is have created a living lab, which is a life-size sandbox that allows things of this nature to be tested, whether it's autonomous vehicles or smart streets, smart streetlights, all these kinds of technologies that will make things safer, more functional, and more accessible to people. It needs to be tested in a real life environment, and this is what they've created. And I think that's why it's so exciting, because all these things that you talked about with the Jetsons or Star Trek or something like that, those types of things feel like science fiction, but so many of them have come to fruition in our lifetime, and they have to be tested. And some of these bigger things that impact our actual physical world in this way, materials that are bigger than like a cell phone or something small that can be held in the hand, they also have to have a place to be tested, and that's what they've created here. And it's just very exciting to be a part of it.
Absolutely. We're going to pull up the website, and as we scroll on the website, we should point out that this is not a small undertaking. It's an 800-acre campus with 14 different living labs. And so when you're walking around the campus, do you feel like you might be meeting the next Edison or Einstein? I mean, is that what it feels like?
I mean, I think that it wouldn't surprise me if something like that were to happen. There are people and companies that have come together. That's another thing that's interesting about Star Park is it's not just the university itself. It's private entities, businesses that also work in this space that need a place to be able to test their products and to develop those. And they come into Star Park and they have the technology and the infrastructure that the university has and allows someone to access, as well as access to faculty and graduate students and other really smart people. And then they come together to work in a collaborative way to help these products and services come to real life. And so I think when you're walking around, sometimes it depends on the day, it might be a little hushed and because everyone's in the labs doing the work, or you might find that there's a summit of some kind or an event that has a lot of smart people in a room talking about how to create something that maybe someone just has, envisioned in their mind, or maybe hasn't even come to fruition in any way yet, but it's an idea. And they're capable of providing a space for these companies to come alongside with the university and to be able to create those.
And Texas State University came out with a great video about a year ago. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
The communities of tomorrow are being designed today. The cities of the future are being invented, tested, and perfected right now. At Texas State University, we're defining how great ideas become life-changing opportunities. To meet the challenges of tomorrow, we need to find new ways to put our research power and innovative spirit to work. We need to use our research resources to create the infrastructure of the future, solutions for healthier living, and technology that will drive the next wave of economic growth. That's the next step in building a better Texas, and we're taking it today. What is CIEDAR? The CIEDAR project is a strategy to integrate smart technology into future cities. It's a way to set new standards for building and environmental safety, with power to boost productivity while driving down costs for businesses and every member of our community.
What strikes me about this, Mick, is that there is some amazing stuff going on in Texas. Everybody thinks about Silicon Valley when they think about tech and innovation. Do you want to talk about just all the talent that Texas is attracting?
Yeah, I would love to, actually, because I think you're absolutely correct. The environment here I think it's existed in some ways for a long time, meaning there's always been a strong technology base here in the state, but certainly with the movement of some significant organizations coming into Texas is helping to drive a level of interest for people who are being educated and trained for these kinds of disciplines in the future, really have started to be drawn into Texas. There's no question about that. I believe that Texas also has one of the highest retention rates of people who are born here that stay here for the rest of their life. I think it's in the mid to high 80 percentile of people who are born in Texas stay in Texas. And so you're not only drawing from other places, smart people, the smart people who are here are also being drawn to specific areas within the state. So there's a lot of in-migration of those people as well. So I think there's all of that to say is that, yes, there is a momentum that is building around these kinds of things. There are undoubtedly so many things that are happening that maybe not everyone has the opportunity to see all the time or witness, but you can't have a company like Samsung or Tesla or other companies that are coming into this area and not have offshoots of other new businesses and new ideas, either from current or former employees or other people who have intersected with that industry in the past. And so it's really a groundswell that starts to happen. So it not only just draws people that way, that innovation cycle just keeps building upon itself. And sometimes it takes a few years for that to really happen, but it's been pretty rapid in this area. So absolutely, it's actually an amazing ecosystem that's getting built.
Well, I'm so impressed with you. We're almost out of time. So final thoughts, what would you like to leave people with?
Well, I think it's probably a couple of things. I think for us, it's hard to contemplate this on such a large scale, but the reality is that we as citizens of this state and of this country, we have an opportunity to continue to be competitive as a people, as a state, as a nation, and our competitiveness is not always just going to be on the scale of like the size of our population. We can be competitive because we have really smart, intelligent people creating new things that create more efficiency, that create opportunity for people. And that's not easy. I'm not always saying that everybody comes to that in exactly the same way, that they receive the same kinds of returns for that and whatever that might be. But there's no question that when you're building an ecosystem like this for the future, there is going to be more opportunity for us, not just here locally within the state, but on a global scale as well.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we're going to leave with the CIEDAR Consortium website. We'll put it up on the screen and leave it there for just a second so you can copy it down. The great Mick Hawton, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
You bet it. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.